Yes, time to look at some of the deals of the day with Intuit QuickBooks. We've just had a nice arty black and white video emerge on the Manchester City website in the last few seconds. You can probably guess who we're talking about. Alex Crook is here to confirm. So City have made a signing, Crookie.
Yeah, they have. Manchester City, one of the busiest clubs so far in this January transfer window, having already paid £64 million to sign Antoine Semenyo from Bournemouth. Marc Guéhi, in the last few minutes, has been officially announced as a Manchester City player. As you say, there's a black and white video on City's social media accounts announcing this transfer, and an interview with Guehi in which he said there'd been a lot of noise about his future, but once Manchester City came calling, there was only ever one answer. He said he's got used to that winning feeling, obviously having led Crystal Palace to FA Cup glory last season and victory at Wembley in the Community Shield. And he said he doesn't want to stop there. So Marc Guéhi, officially now a Manchester City player, as we were reporting on Friday. It's a £20 million fee initially, rising to close to £30 million with the add-ons, and he'll be earning around £300,000 a week.
You can see why they want him. I mean, Elaine and
it's a good move. Good move for him and good move for them. I'd love to know what City's net spend has been since last January. It seems, because that's what counts. It's not really, if you just take what they spend and not take what they bring in, that's not a good way to look at it. But it would be interesting because they seem to have spent an awful lot of money.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about what they're doing in this window is they're going for tried and tested Premier League players. It's not really a gamble, is it, on Marc Guéhi, because he's been there, he's got the T-shirt with Crystal Palace, he was one of the best centre-backs in the league last season, very key in their FA Cup final success against City, and I think probably if we were picking our England team for the first game of the World Cup, he would very much be the first defender on the team sheet, wouldn't he?
Yeah, good business for them. We're awaiting Thomas Frank. I think, Tottenham went out to train, looks like a little bit later, so I don't know if they're going to quite make that 3:30, but anyway, we'll keep an eye on that. It's going to be a very interesting press conference, and we know what the line of questioning's going to be. I was saying earlier on, it does feel a bit cowardly to me, this Crookie, that I kind of sense he'll probably go on Wednesday. The board are just hiding behind him because they're probably expecting, with all the issues Tottenham have got around injury and suspension and players not eligible to play, that they could get beaten tomorrow night, and so they would rather him take the flak, which look, he's not been blameless, but it does feel, as Danny Kelly said earlier on, a touch cruel.
Yeah, I think it does, because I'm a big admirer of Thomas Frank. I think he's proved himself to be a more than capable manager at his previous clubs. I think he's one of the gentlemen of the game, even in this intense pressure cooker situation that he's in. He hasn't turned on the media. He's tried his best to answer all the difficult questions with good grace. He's not hammered the fans or tried to go into conflict with them, even though he's been booed after every game. And I think you're right. I think if they do, as we expect, end up firing him after this Dortmund game and before they play Burnley at the weekend, then maybe that is a little bit unfair, because it does feel like he's a dead man walking, doesn't it? Certainly as far as the Spurs fans are concerned. And as we've been reporting on talkSPORT.com today, there are a lot of senior players who I think have expressed their concerns about the direction the club is going to the board. And when that starts to happen, there's only ever going to be one fall guy, and that's the manager.
Now, West Ham, we come on to somebody who could be outgoing shortly, but it looks like they're doing a bit of business with Venezuela, much like Donald Trump. Kaiba La Madrid. He's a Kaiba, not a Kiba, so he's carrying up the Kaiba La Madrid. I've got to be honest, he wasn't on my radar. I don't know much about Venezuelan football. I know you're right across it, Crookie, so what do you make of it?
It's not my specialist subject either, to be honest with you, but it's not a signing that has particularly excited the West Ham fan base based on the reaction that I'm seeing. It's a loan deal with a £1 million option at the end of the season. Now, you don't get a lot in the Premier League these days for £1 million, so it does seem a rather bizarre transfer when West Ham obviously are trying to sign players who are going to help them stay in the Premier League. One player we expect to stay now is the man who wouldn't have been popular in your household around about 4:45 on Saturday afternoon. Callum Wilson, having scored that late winner against Spurs, I'm told he won't be going anywhere now. Crystal Palace made an inquiry for him over the last week or so, but David Sullivan has made it pretty clear that they need all hands on deck in terms of trying to pull off this relegation great escape.
It seems Forest are doing a bit of business. Lorenzo Luca, he's been on loan at Napoli. I think he scored 1 goal in 16 games, which isn't a glowing endorsement, but obviously they feel they can get a tune out of him. $1 million down for the loan. and you know, I don't know if it's an option to buy or yeah. So again, I haven't seen much of him, Crookie.
No, I haven't either, but I was just looking at what Adam Summerton, who commentates a lot of Serie A football, was saying earlier, and obviously not this season, but previously. I think he scored a lot of headed goals. So he's a Sean Dyche type striker or type player in that regard. And I do think they need some bodies. It was a really good backs-to-the-wall performance against Arsenal at the weekend, but they are lacking at the top end of the pitch, particularly as Chris Wood has been injured.
So let's talk about Paquetá. It didn't play the other day, and so that looks like he's edging closer, that move back to Brazil.
Yeah, there seem to be positive noises coming from Brazil. I think Flamengo believe they can get a deal done for around the €40 million mark. They are readying a second offer, but it won't be much higher, we're told, than the first offer. The fact he didn't play at the weekend, even though I'm told Nuno Espirito Santo implored him to do so, I think tells you all you need to know. And maybe as a result of winning that game, perhaps Nuno is coming around to the idea that they can win games in the Premier League without Paquetá. There does come a point, doesn't there, especially if you're going to get a half-decent transfer fee, when it almost becomes pointless to try and keep a player against their wishes, particularly as Paquetá's not pulled up too many trees over the course of this season.
No, indeed.
True.
Jackie, let's find out a bit more about him. Chelsea are in the market for a centre-half. He's not going to be cheap from Rennes, so what's the story there?
Yeah, again, I mean, I'm sure Andy has got a view on this because most Chelsea fans and ex-players I speak to say they're crying out for a bit of experience, particularly in that centre-back area. So a 20-year-old from France, probably not what they had at the top of their wanted list going into this transfer window. And you're right, the fee will be significant. They got €64 million when they sold Jeremy Doku to Manchester City, and we're told they value Xhaka even higher than that. I'm not sure that Chelsea necessarily share that sentiment, but certainly this deal does appear to be advancing. He's made it clear that he wants to join Chelsea, he wants to join them in this window, even though there are other clubs who will come to the table come the summer, the likes of Arsenal and maybe the two big Spanish teams as well. One other name that's been linked with Chelsea is Marcus Senesi down at Bournemouth.
That'd be so much a better deal for Chelsea, honestly.
Much like you said about City being sort of Premier League ready.
He's Premier League ready. I've watched him a lot. He's a really good player. I mean, I doubt whether they'd let him go, but I also doubt.
No, well, that's what I was going to say. My information is that Bournemouth, having already sold Semenyo, lost a lot of defenders in the summer window. Even though he's out of contract at the end of the year and he's not going to sign a new deal, they've made it pretty clear to me they're not entertaining offers for Senesi in this window.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. I don't think this deal will go through. I don't think Chelsea are going to pay over the top. If they can get the player at the right price, they'll do it. Otherwise, it'll go right down to the wire and they'll walk away, I think.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Good stuff, Cookie. Thanks very much. When's your notebook out next? What's the next one coming?
Be out tomorrow. And do you know what? I've already started compiling it, and there are a couple of nice little lines this week, including a potential replacement for Oliver Glasner at Crystal Palace. So I'll just leave that one hanging.
Excellent. All right, it'll be on the website tomorrow at talksport.com. Cheers, Alex. Thanks a lot.